In this video, we're going to discuss bar graphs. Most students are very comfortable with bar graphs, and anytime I give them an example of data, they almost always jump to using a bar graph to displaying it. It's very comfortable, a ready tool that most people are familiar with. So they're using rectangles to display frequency. It could also display relative frequency too, by the way. It doesn't just have to be frequency, but it could display relative frequency, which is percentages. But we use bar graphs primarily for qualitative data. So when we do quantitative data, we switch to what's called a histogram, and we'll talk about that in the next section. But yeah, bar graphs, we're looking at qualitative data, and therefore we kind of make a distinction for visually seeing data on a bar graph. So let's look at this example here. So they collected the race ethnicity information of people who took the advanced placement exam and their percentage breakdown and their overall percent of the student population in the year 2011. And as we can kind of see by comparing, there are some groups that are very overrepresented in the AP group and some that are underrepresented, but that's not what they're asking us to do. They want us to create a bar graph of the race and ethnicity uh, for the advanced placement percentages. So the advanced placement percentages is going to be our y-axis. Okay, so we want to go ahead and draw this. So for the y-axis, since I'm using the advanced placement percentages, I see that the highest percent is 57.1. So I'm going to probably just go by tens. And I'll put percentages. But I could label it when I do put my labels on the axes. I could just label it as a percent. I don't have to put the percentages there. And then they actually numbered the race and ethnicity categories for us just so that we didn't have to write them all down, but that's not always necessary. So you're not always going to have a number assigned to each of these. You could do labels if it makes sense. But since we're doing this by hand, it'll make it easier for us that they're using numbers to represent those categories. Okay, so let me go ahead and label my axes now. So this is the AP exam in the population. And then the x-axis is the race and ethnicity. And of course, we would give them a chart so that they could see which ethnicity was assigned to which number. All right, so let's go ahead and draw our rectangles. So 10.3, we want to go a little bit above 10, not really, actually. In fact, it's so close to 10, I might even just put it right around 10. All right, it's the best I can do freehanding that. Now I'll just shade it in so it looks a little less sad. There we go. All right. The second category, 9%, so it should be a little bit less. It's kind of hard to see it. Oops, but I'm gonna try. That one's just a little too long. There we go. All right, for 3, 17%, so that should be underneath the 20, almost right about there. 4 is 0.6%, so I mean, you're hardly going to see it. Oh my goodness, that's way too big. All right. It's very tiny. Okay, here's the big category, 57%. Wow, that's very sloppy. That's all right. And 6%. So back down here, a little over half to that. All right. So here's what I look for when I'm seeing these graphs. I'm looking, first of all, that I can clearly see the labels on the axes. I can make sure I can kind of place where it looks like it is close in proximity. You can, for clarification, place the numbers on top of the rectangles just so that it's clear. You know, this is 10.3, 9, 17.6, 57.1 and then 6. That's okay. You can always make it clearer from a picture, especially when you're a little bit sloppier like me. You do want to try to make the rectangles as close as you can to the same size. But really, that's kind of how we're going to draw those as best as we can when we're freehanding it like this.